Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome on the recruiting panel by McKinsey & Company. McKinsey & Company were kind enough to become a gold sponsor of WIRE conference. They also supported as a sponsor the hackathon, the text mining hackathon that we finished yesterday. We are really pleased to have the full team today that will describe lessons that they learned after 500 data science interviews that they made. McKinsey Analytics combines advanced data solutions with an in-depth industry and business knowledge. Their team of data scientists and architects complement strategic and operational consulting and provide clients with an advanced and robust data-driven solutions. I'm really pleased to have you all today here. People on the audience, if you have any questions, please post them on a YouTube chat and we will have a Q&A session at the end. So we will have some time to answer all the questions. And now I'm giving my microphone to Ola. And yeah, please start your talk. And people, let's enjoy the knowledge that McKinsey will share with us today.
Thank you, Martin. Can I please ask to share a presentation? Great. So, hello everyone. My name is Ola Skoczyńska, and I'm a recruiter responsible for hiring advanced analytics professionals to McKinsey in Poland. And in this session, together with Tomek and Piotr, our amazing data scientists, and Marta, who is our employer branding specialist, we have a pleasure to share with you some tips and tricks on how to create a great CV, tell you also a bit more about what it actually means to work as a data scientist or a data engineer at McKinsey, and speak about how to prepare for technical interviews. So I hope that most of you guys know what kind of company McKinsey is, but to those of you who might not know yet, or to those of you who want to learn a bit more, we are a strategy consulting company that consists of 17,000 consultants, 4,500 tech specialists, and over 2,000 analytics experts around the globe. We help different organizations across many different industries solve their business problems, transform their organizations, and build strategy plans. With the growing need for advanced analytics expertise and usage of advanced analytics tools in business, we are hiring more and more data scientists and data engineers to our company. And then those people help our clients leverage advanced analytics in their organizations. In Poland, we have 3 different offices in 3 different locations. And actually, each of those offices operate in a bit of a different way. We have a consulting office in Warsaw. We have Client Capabilities Network Center in Wrocław and Shared Services Center in Poznań. And our data scientists and data engineers are located both in Wrocław and Warsaw. These teams, they have a very global presence. Our advanced analytics teams work on many different client projects which happen around the globe. So some of the client engagements that our Warsaw and Wrocław colleagues were involved in happened in countries like Indonesia, Brazil, USA, Russia, or Switzerland. And on top of that, our company also invests in professional development by sending our teams to many conferences and trainings worldwide. So if you would like to combine the work as a data scientist and apply your knowledge into a business context, and on top of that, explore the world, I think McKinsey could be the right company for you. So now, if you are already thinking that you could be interested in a new opportunity, let's think of how to create a great resume that could catch a recruiter's eye and strongly showcase your abilities and skills. First of all, it's really important to put only relevant information on your CV. We don't need information on every grade that you received during your studies or irrelevant information about yourself, such as your personal statement or, for example, your marital status. What's really important for us is your contact details, your university background, your work experience with a list of main responsibilities and achievements in bullet points, and skills. I would say that actually skills are very important when you apply for technical roles. So we would like to know what kind of programming languages you know, and on what level. Also, which technologies you're familiar with or what languages you speak. If you participated in any, let's say, relevant activities such as data science competitions or courses like Kaggle or Coursera, mention them as well. If you have an account on GitHub or some special achievements like let's say you won one of the analytics competitions or you were a president of Analytics Society during studies, share it on your CV as well. All of this will show us that you work on your self-development, that you go extra mile to improve your skills, that you have your leadership skills, and you are not afraid to take on new challenges and new initiatives. When writing a resume, remember about 3 C's. Make it concise. 1 or 2 pages for your resume is enough, trust me. Then keep it clear and easy to follow. You know, as recruiters, we go through a lot of CVs every day. So it's really important to keep it clear and readable. Use bullet points instead of long sentences. Divide your CV into clear sections like education, work experience, skills. And also make sure that there are no typos, no spelling mistakes, no formatting errors. The text is written in one font and in one color. And here I would like to show you an example of a good CV. So Anna applied for our data scientist role. And as you can see, her CV contains all relevant information. Everything is kept in a chronological order, and it's easy to read, easy to follow. So I would say that the CV sells itself, right? Based on that CV, I can see that she has technical studies, that she has the right work experience within data science field, that she participated in a lot of competitions or internships, and that she knows many programming languages. So based on such CV, I would for sure reach out to her immediately to get to know her better. Now, on the contrary, let's have a look at an example of a bad CV. It starts with a lot of irrelevant information, such as how Anna likes to spend her free time, how many children she has, or that she seeks an employment in a tech sector. Her experience doesn't have an exact time frame. We can only see the years, which is always a bit suspicious because then we don't know, for example, if she had some career breaks. She described her responsibilities in long sentences, which makes it less structured and really difficult to follow. She also doesn't describe her skills well. So for example, I don't know what's the level of her knowledge of, let's say, Python or SQL. So overall, I think it's probably not a CV that I would go for. To summarize, while creating a CV, please remember to keep it concise, to keep it clear and clean. Stick to bullet points, mention important responsibilities that you were given during your work experience, and really brag about additional activities that you were involved in within advanced analytics field, such as conferences, competitions, or any relevant courses. Always remember to highlight your skills, you know, which is in technical roles, it is really very, very important. Try to estimate your level of knowledge of programming languages and other tools, and mention, for example, what languages you speak and so on. And in the end, I mean, your resume is like a business card, right? So invest your time and take your time to sell yourself the best you can. And now, since I hope we know how to create a great CV, I would like to give the floor to Tomek, who will talk about what it actually means to work as a data scientist at McKinsey, and also how to prepare to those technical interviews. Tomek, over to you.
Thank you, Ola. So I would like to discuss with you the steps that happen actually before the start of your interviews. So first, of course, you need to decide what role is good for you. That's why let's start by briefly discussing the key characteristics of the analytics related work at our firm and what exact roles we have in our advanced analytics hub. First of all, I would like to highlight that all the analytics roles that we recruit for are client-facing. So this means that all our data professionals are integral part of client project teams. Their day-to-day job involves mostly data-related tasks, but also there is a business component. So for example, you can be responsible for holding meetings with different stakeholders at our clients to present findings from your analysis, or to, for example, discuss what additional data would be useful for next analysis, how you can enhance your analysis with additional data sources. And I would say this setting is what people usually enjoy very much while working at our firm. You have a high diversity of your daily tasks, high diversity of clients and industries as well. So you can grow in different areas, in your technical, but also in your softer skills. Besides, what I personally like is that you work with people of very different profiles, such as other data professionals, business consultants, and potentially others, such as designers or domain knowledge experts. And working with such a team, such a diversified team, can be very stimulating and enjoyable. For instance, I had one of the recent projects where I worked in a group of about 10 data professionals, and we also had some business consultants on top of it. On the other hand, on one of my other recent projects, the team was much leaner and we worked just as 2 data scientists and there was 1 consultant. So, as I said, it is very diversified. And again, I would like to highlight that among our data profiles, we can distinguish both data scientists and data engineers. Those are 2 separate roles at McKinsey. The key role of data scientists is to build machine learning models, to explain those models, and to deliver additional insights based on either modeling or further exploratory analysis. On the other hand, data engineers are people that are mainly responsible for building an appropriate data processing infrastructure, managing the data landscape before it goes to a modeling pipeline, mapping the data fields to right hypotheses, and so on. It's important to highlight that we have this distinction, this separation of roles into data scientists and data engineers. In some places, a data scientist is a person that is supposed to know everything from machine learning modeling, from data pipelines to, for example, data architecture, data governance. Here you can decide on your specialization. Let's go next. And now, of course, what I just mentioned is an ideal setup, but in practice, we may observe some overlap between these 2 roles, because, of course, on each project, the project needs change from one time to another. So this is also related to the fact that we are flexible in terms of career progression. For example, you can start as a data engineer, but then decide that you would like to be more involved in machine learning modeling and switch your path to data scientist. You can, of course, do it the other way around as well. Here on this slide, you can see how the progression of roles in our company looks like. The key idea is that you start as a fully hands-on person, and as you grow in terms of your seniority and your technical expertise, you become more and more independent, and your tasks gradually shift from purely hands-on tasks to leading bigger and bigger components of data-related work. And now I'd like to start talking about our recruitment process itself. So the first step, which is home assignment. Let's assume that you already chosen your desired path and you applied to McKinsey. The first step that you may expect from us is the home assignment that is based on real advanced analytics case that we solved in the past. The basic idea is that we provide you with the description of a business situation as well as a corresponding data set. You can have about 2 weeks of your time to work on all relevant analysis and to prepare your report. I would like to highlight that we don't impose any particular toolkit, so you can use any open source language as you want. As for your report, it can be, for example, a Jupyter notebook, our Markdown document, a business presentation, or any other format that you find most appropriate. And I would say personally, I believe that such a homework assignment is always a very enjoyable part of any data job recruitment process. There is no time pressure, so you can spend virtually as much time as you want, so you can impress recruiters with the best solution you can think of. I believe this is also a much more fair way to assess data professionals than via organizing a short, for example, 2 hours programming test that basically tests how fast you can code under time pressure. And let's discuss, what do we test by home assignments? Why do we organize them? Again, there are 2 things that we test. So first of all, we test the clarity and completeness of your reasoning and analysis. But secondly, and equally important, we test the quality of your code. You are supposed to deliver the code of your analysis, either as a part of your report, if you chose our Markdown or Jupyter notebook or any similar tool. But if not, you can decide to deliver your code as a separate product. And as mentioned, you can have virtually as much time as you want to solve this task. So we would really highlight that you should pay attention to your coding. So you should follow good practices that are specific to the language you choose. And you should deliver the code that is clean, readable, and well documented. You can always get extra points if you have an appropriate level of sophistication in your code, if you use some state-of-the-art methodology. But on the other hand, please pay attention not to overcomplicate your code. So you need to balance the readability, the simplicity with enough sophistication that a given analysis requires. After homework, the next part of our interview process are technical interviews. Then this part of the process will be now discussed by Piotr.
Okay, Marta, do I have control over or should I request control from you for the presentation? Okay, remote.
Yeah, you should request.
Okay, I'm requesting the control.
Yeah. It should work now.
I think it's not working. Okay, it works now. Oh, okay, there is some delay, sorry. So Marta, is it you changing the slides, or because I think I cannot do this actually? Okay, anyway, let us stay with this slide. Okay, so my name is Piotr Zielonka. I am like specialist data scientist in McKinsey. I'm working in McKinsey already for 3 years, and my total data science experience is 7 years already. And during my time in McKinsey, I have already conducted around 100 technical data scientist interviews. And I would like to share some insights, some like guides for you from these interviews. So, of course, the most important aspect of our interviews is your technical skills. So we are asking like a lot of questions about like different algorithms, your knowledge of statistics, your programming skills, etc. But I believe this is quite obvious. So I would like not to cover obvious things, but things that are maybe not that obvious. So first group of aspects is communication. So I would like to give you some advices on how your communication should look like. So first, please try to use top-down communication. And let me explain what I mean by this. So the opposite of top-down communication is bottom-up communication. And this is actually the approach you are usually encouraged to use or even trained to use on academia. So this is the like structure you can see on most of the lectures or in like scientific papers. So it goes like from the details up to the conclusions. Yes, so you have like argument 1, argument 2, argument 3, and then on top of it, at the very end of the paper, you have the conclusion, the summary, the synthesis. It's fine structure, especially for like scientific papers, but in terms of efficiency and especially also in terms of like business communication, the opposite approach is expected. You are actually expected to first provide your like conclusion, your opinion, your like synthesis of what is happening, and only then eventually when you are asked to provide the details or when there is some like difference of opinions, only then you are expected to provide details. So this way you can avoid going into details in most of the situations. So this is the first advice. Please like use top-down approach, start with conclusion, summary, and then eventually go into details. Second thing is please be precise. So use precise statements and precise terms. So for example, when you use linear regression, really say like linear regression, or I don't know, maybe you can even say classical linear regression in R package or something, or from LM package in R. Because when you say, a lot of people say, for example, in this situation that they use regression, which probably you know, it's like to some extent also XGBoost or neural networks can be regression, so it's really not very precise. So really, please try to use terms or like notions that are very precise. And second thing, please try to avoid ambiguity. So I would like to encourage you that every time you say something, you usually have like few ideas how you can say it, and really try to quickly analyze them, like which one of them is like not that clear, which one of them is like ambiguous, and which one of them is very strict and has like lowest risk of leading into misunderstanding, into some ambiguity, and select this one. That way you will really avoid a lot of misunderstandings. Third thing is please be assertive. And I mean here like two things. So first, if you really know something and you are sure about something, show that with your tone. Yes. So if I am an interviewer and I am asking you a question, when you are answering the question, your tone should suggest that you know what you are saying, that you believe in this. Not that, for example, you are asking the question yourself, you are not that sure, you are preparing yourself to change your mind if eventually I suggest you that maybe you are wrong. Yeah, so when you know something, really be confident about that. And second thing, when you don't know something, also like be assertive and tell us like, okay, this is not my area of expertise, or I don't know, I had this on during university studies, but actually I forgot now. And why I say this, because when someone is like willing to share, to admit that he really like have some lacks, some gaps in his knowledge, it's actually communicates like two very important things. So first thing is that he is confident, because who is least willing to admit that he don't know something? The person who is least willing to admit that he or she don't know something is a person that is insecure, yes, because then you are thinking that it's like undermining your value, that you don't know something. So I really encourage you to admit that at few points that actually this is not my area of expertise, or I don't know this. This really shows that you value yourself, you know that you have a lot of knowledge, and this like single fact that you don't know this specific thing doesn't undermine your value. And second thing, when we work like in teams, it's really important for effective work, for effective communication, to be confident, to be assertive, and to be also like honest that, guys, I'm not sure how to do this exactly, so if you can help me, or I'm not sure if this is the correct approach, because that way we can solve the problem quickly. While if the situation is different, if you don't know something but you pretend that you know it, and you are doing something in the wrong way, this can lead to a lot of troubles. And fourth thing, be empathetic. And of course, don't go too far with this. I don't mean that you should like, understand all the emotions that your interviewer is like feeling, or trying to understand his like childhood. I'm not saying anything like that. That would be too far for like technical interview. What I mean is like try to understand what is his background, where is he coming from, what is interesting for him, what is not interesting for him, and then adjust the content and the language you are using to the interlocutor. So for example, if you are talking to business person, probably it's fine to say, okay, I was using gradient boosting. And if you would proceed to more details, like I was using light GBM with gamma parameter of 1 and depth of 3 of 3 or something, this would be meaningless for this person. So I would really advise you to skip this type of details when you talk to a business person. And on the contrary, if we're talking to technical persons, show that you know those technical details. I'm trying to switch the slide, but I think it's not working actually. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what is happening. So second point is show your strengths. In McKinsey, especially in McKinsey, we really try to like look at people in terms of their strengths. And we also, when we like have a candidate on the recruitment process, we really think what are his strengths, and we want to, the decision whether he wants to employ him or not depends mostly on his strengths, not on his like weaknesses or something. And this is the case in most of the recruitment processes, I think. So before the process, you should really reflect on your strengths, like what is your like the deepest area of expertise, what is like your real strength, and also prepare some examples, some like stories, some like experiences that can back up your claims. That way, you can really present yourself as a like asset for the company. And second thing, prepare to solve for analytical cases. So sometimes we give this type of like longer complex question when we give like short story that, for example, imagine that you are in a telecommunication provider client and your task is to build model for, I don't know, let's say churn, and how would you approach it? So I know that for some of you this might be a little bit like surprising. So first, be prepared. This is just like sometimes we ask this type of questions. So if it's challenging for you, train yourself, prepare yourself for that. I don't know, when you, for example, read some like blog posts and you see some like people answering how to approach some problems, you can also think yourself, okay, how I would answer quickly for this type of problem. And then also, I would like you to know that when you get this type of complex question, you can ask interviewer to take your time. So, you know, just like, okay, give me 1-2 minutes so I can reflect on this. And it's perfectly fine. So just understand that you have this option. You can ask for some time and then slowly like reflect on what is the best way to answer the question. And then focus on practical solutions or on workarounds. This is like exercise on like quick problem solving, on like creative thinking. So if you can provide some idea, which you know is like not perfect and may not work, it's better to provide like any possibly practical solution than not say anything because you know that there are some flaws in your solution. So really focus on providing some ideas, on providing some solutions, some workarounds, not on providing perfect and like 100 theoretically sound solution. That would be much better. And then also, it would be good if you have some story, if you can tell us your story. So first, we would like to understand your professional story. So we would like to understand why you and how you became a data scientist, and then how your education prepared you to be data scientist. And then also, for example, what is your reason that you are applying for McKinsey now? And also, what was the reasons, for example, why you quit some other job in the past? That would be very informative for us and very interesting. So please be prepared that we may ask this type of questions and don't be surprised by this. And also think about your success stories. Sometimes we ask questions like, what was your biggest challenge? What is your like achievement you are most proud of? Think, what would you say? Think like, what is your success story? And also think what would be the best, the most like exciting and the best way to tell this story that would also make a great impression. So to summarize, when you prepare for our interview, focus on a few things. So first, refresh your knowledge, yes, because we are asking on like 2 levels. So first level is we are asking about your like breadth knowledge, meaning we expect from everyone, for example, to know what is, I don't know, p-value, linear regression, decision tree, like basic, most common stuff. And so if you believe you might have some problems with this type with some of this type of basic notions, please refresh this content. And second thing, if you believe that you are like experts in some area, also like think if, okay, maybe you have to refresh some like deep theory behind this or some like complex terms involved. So when we ask you about details of your like expertise domain, you will really like you can show your strength. And then practice communication. Probably the best way to practice communication is in this context is to trying to explain technical stuff to non-technical audience or people. So you can, for example, train with your friends, with your colleagues, or you can even also take this type of task in your work. So when, for example, your manager have to explain something to, I don't know, business owner of the model, you can ask your boss that you would like to train yourself in this type of task and do this yourself. That would really, you would benefit from this a lot. And the last point, prepare relevant pieces of your work. So prepare like examples of your code, of your work. And this is probably also important point. This doesn't have to be necessarily professional experience. Especially if you just finished university, it's okay if you provide some examples of your academic work or even your personal project. Yes, if you spend weekends on hackathons or Kaggle competitions, it's fine if you have code from there to show us. That can really make a good impression. And again, reflect on your professional journey and on your like success stories. And that's it for my part. Then I would like to invite you to ask questions. That can be any questions related to the stuff we are discussing. So it can be either like, what is the recruitment process, or what is the role of data scientists in McKinsey? We are happy to answer any questions. Yeah, feel free to ask. I think that would be on YouTube chat. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we already have some questions, so let me read that for you. And please, if you want to answer any of them, just speak up. So how many languages, programming languages, would you recommend to put on a CV?
Okay, so I can take that one. Actually, what is really important is to put the ones that you know very well. So our data scientists, we actually want them to know Python or R. We don't require them to know both of those languages. However, one of those should be known on a very good level. So, you know, if you want to put Python and then one other language, as long as Python is advanced, it's fine for us. Our data scientists mostly work with Python or R and SQL.
Thank you, Ola. So the second one, would you mind describing current positions that you are recruiting for?
Sure. So currently we have recruitment open for data scientist and senior data scientist roles in Warsaw. So I encourage you to have a look at our website where our job postings are listed. At the moment, for example, in Wrocław, we don't have the recruitment open for this year. However, please have a look, you know, from time to time on our career website, because it might change next year, and we might have some new openings for advanced analytics roles. However, at the moment in Warsaw, we do recruit for data science path.
Thank you, Ola. Are those home assignments only done in Poland, or is it a global process at McKinsey?
It's a good question. So actually the home assignments, this specific assignment that we use it for Poland. Some other office locations, they use other types of home assignments. Sometimes it's a different type of coding test. It really depends on the office location. There's always some kind of test that is given. However, the test might be different depending on the location. Then the rest of the process is usually the same.
Thank you. Do you value the reproducibility of the solution, or rather the business value of the result of a home assignment?
I can take this one. So that's also a good question. Of course, we always, on any project, tie our advanced analytics analysis to business value. So business value is also what we value in a home assignment. But having said that, reproducibility is also a very important topic. It is more diversified among projects. Sometimes the topic of the project is to produce one-off analysis, so to build one model to estimate something, but without any need to redo this analysis in future. But usually we are providing our clients with complete analytics solutions that need to be rerun on a regular basis. And then reproducibility is very important for us. So coming back to homework assignment, it actually depends on where your specialization lies. We value both of these things, but we also look for diversified profiles. So it's great if you produce a home assignment that highlights the business value of your analysis. But if you can take care about reproducibility and basically the code that is good enough to go to production, you would get for sure extra points for that.
Thank you, Tomek. How do you check the correctness of the information provided in CV?
So I'm not sure if I understand fully the question. How I understand it is whether the information on CV then it's actually the truth. So usually it's when you have first touch with McKinsey, you have a recruiter screen, so a conversation with our recruiting team. And during this time, we would like you to walk us through your career path and to walk us through what you've been up to so far. For example, what kind of responsibilities you are given in your current employer, to describe the tasks, but also then we ask questions like what kind of programming languages you use and in what context do you use it on a daily basis. So sooner or later those information they come up also in terms of languages as well, because we also have part of our conversation in English, so this is also tested. So whatever you put on your CV, if you put that you know Python in an advanced level, on technical interviews we will definitely verify if it's true. Or if you say that you know English on an advanced level, we will also test it.
Great, thank you, Ola. So the next one is also about the interviews. What is the typical atmosphere during your interviews?
Or is the typical what, sorry?
Atmosphere.
Well, so maybe Piotr and Tomek, you can say a bit more about that.
I think that the we try the general tone to be relaxed, and usually it's like remote interview, so it's not like very intense. But to be honest, it's like quite long interview. Usually it's like 60 to 90 minutes, and we are asking a lot of tough questions. So we are getting like ambiguous feedback. So on the one hand, the candidates say that it's like they can feel that the level of the interview is really high, and this is one of the reasons why they have this like process in high regard. They believe it's like if we are asking these difficult questions, this really means that we need only the best persons. But on the other hand, it's quite exhausting for candidates. But I think in terms of like general like atmosphere, we try it to be like quite relaxed.
If I may, I would add to that we try to make our interviews as a conversation between partners. So basically, we want to understand your reasoning. It is not that we only ask questions. We want to discuss the analytical topics with you, and we want to test some problem-solving skills through discussion of analytical topics to make this conversation more interesting. So I would say it is tough, but most candidates actually enjoy our interviews.
Great, thank you. So the next one is about the diversity at McKinsey. Is it important for us? I think I can also answer this question because I think that diversity is in our DNA, and we have people from different backgrounds and different age, different skills. So we are like we have a lot of diversity among our teams, but if you would like to say something more, Ola, Piotr, or Tomasz, please feel free.
So maybe I would say that we are recruiting only basing on skills. So we are not limiting anyone. Of course, we have like both genders in our team. I think we have like 3 girls in Warsaw team now. We have even foreigners. We have a colleague from Ukraine. We have a colleague from Italy. And also we have people with different backgrounds. So we have like graduates of, for example, maths, of business studies, and also I'm here while I was just actually studying philosophy and sociology. So I would say that the most important thing is that we are really recruiting basing only on skills.
Yeah, and what I can also add to that is actually working in diverse team is as Marta said, in our DNA, and also our data scientists, they work in a very different team setups. So we are looking for people who not only are diverse, but also for people who want to work in diverse teams, because you might end up in a project, let's say in Japan, where you will work with a consultant from Germany and another 2 from Japan and then another from another country. And there are a lot of different cultural differences, you know. So also in terms of that, you working at McKinsey doesn't always mean, of course, being diverse, but also working with very diverse teams and being open to that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, guys. So the next one is about R skills. What are the most desired skills in R?
That's quite general question, but so probably first to write code that is readable for second person, because in R is always an issue. Second thing, to use some more advanced concepts. I mean, it's especially for data scientists, it's fine, or for intern, it's fine if you just like write a script. But at higher levels, we really expect that you provide some like functions or like own like generic functions definitions, or like those like our pseudo classes definitions. So the code is nicely structured and readable. And we also would like you to use some like advanced libraries that are not part of like base R library, especially when you are like dealing with specific problems. I'm not sure if I should be very specific up here, but this would be my idea how to answer these questions. Maybe Tomasz has something to add.
Yes, I would say the key difficulty for us to answer this question is that our projects are very diversified. So on one project, we may use one library because it requires us to produce one type of models. And on the other one, we can use something very different. So in terms of our skills, apart from what Piotr already said, I would say for data wrangling, data processing, we highly appreciate data table package. We used it a lot in the past. We find it fast, reliable, and it's definitely something it's good to know if you want to do any analytical projects in R.
Thank you. What soft skills should a data scientist have to fit your teams?
I would frame this in a little bit different way. So I would say that probably most of the data scientists has like strong shifts toward like bias towards technical skills. But McKinsey gives you this opportunity that when you start from those, like, for example, on data scientist, like 90% of your work is just coding. So you should be fine probably with like average level of like communication skills. Of course, you will be exposed to like presenting to client, to, for example, maybe like handing over something to client, to tough discussions with your team on some like technical problems. So you would benefit from having soft skills, but I would say that McKinsey is like great place to develop your soft skills, because already from data science, from like intern and data scientist level, you already are exposed to more like soft challenges, as I mentioned. And then with every like with every year of your tenure, with every your promotion, you are exposed more to this type of stuff. So for example, at more senior positions, you are more often expected to be something like expert that just provides methodology, or a coach that trains clients data scientists, or provides some training for them, or a presenter that is apart from developing the model, is also responsible for convincing client that this is right approach to use. So of course it's better when you have higher soft skills. I would say most important are like all communication related skills, but I would really like to emphasize that McKinsey is perfect place to develop yourself in this type of skills.
Thank you, Piotrek. How to establish the level of advancement in programming language and CV, by adjectives like junior or by some scale?
I think something like basic or advanced or expert would be okay. So basic is if you have any experience, advanced if you have experience of few projects and really think that you understand this language, and expert is when you really think that you are above average. So for example, you created a library into this, or like package to this language. That would be something like expert. I hope this answers the question.
Yeah, I think so. Can you tell how a typical home assignment look like? So I guess someone is asking about the details.
So I would say we prefer not to reveal any further details about our home assignment before you apply to us. But as I mentioned before in the presentation, this is a machine learning task that is tied to a business situation. So we will test both your technical skills and how you understand the business context, and how your analysis are tied with what we describe in this scenario that you are going to solve. It's a very enjoyable task, so feel free to apply to us and take a look at it.
How many projects it's good to have on GitHub?
It's about quality, not quantity. So I would prefer that the candidate has like one very nicely structured project with some Python classes defined, and with nicely organized code with some advanced concepts, and that would be enough. We don't think that quantity is really important. We focus on quantity, on quality.
Thank you. Which language is more desirable in CV, Python, R, Julia, or all?
I think Python, but R is also fine. But I would say that Python is most important.
For us, yeah, not for everyone.
Of course, for us, yes.
Yeah. How do you view Udemy courses or other websites?
It's fine. It's like a plus, but still we will be checking your skills with tough questions. So it's really about skills, not about the number of courses you have passed through.
Yeah. Do you have a continuous training program for employees or something similar?
Thomas, maybe you can answer. I think you were taking a lot of courses recently.
So we have the access to some online courses, like different platforms with online courses. We also used to have some in-person trainings. Now the situation is a bit different temporarily because of our pandemic. But in general, I would say the training offer is really vast here, and there's definitely there's definitely more than you would need. And of course, I'm a strong supporter of on-the-job training. So basically, I think that the best training you can receive is to be staffed on a project and work on some practical analytical challenge.
Yeah, maybe I can add that my favorite part of training program is Conference Plus program, which is something which is every year each data scientist can attend any international data science related conference, and company is of course covering all the costs like flights and registration fees. So this is really good thing. So for example, I was participating in ICML in Sweden in 2018 and in ICML in California in 2019. And I think this is really a good part of training program.
Thank you. So the next one is about technical questions. Are you open for some tough technical questions from candidate side?
During an interview or now? During interview, yes?
It's not specified actually, so maybe let's go for an interview.
I think we are quite open, even for after every interview, we are offering a feedback. And during feedback, I believe that every time I give a feedback, I am also should be open to feedback. So if candidates have some feedback toward me, I'm also happy to listen. On the interview, I think it's like little bit weird for this setting for candidates to ask questions. I mean, of course you can, but I would say that the setting is set up so that we are asking the questions. So I don't know how that would end up if candidate would ask a question, but you can try.
Thank you. So the next one is a technical one, and I'm not a data scientist, so I would rather not read that because I may have some problems with reading it. Anyway, we don't have other questions. So do you have something more for us, what you would like to find out about McKinsey recruiting process or any other? Please feel free to put your questions into the chat.
So since we have no questions, maybe I will cover one thing. I think you are now, Marta, controlling the presentation. So can you go back to the map? So maybe I will start talking while you do this. So I wanted to show you what is the biggest value in McKinsey for me. I'm working here already for 3 years, and I would say that the biggest value is this diversity. So within last 3 years, and also to explain one thing, all of those places, this is just these are countries where data scientists from McKinsey Poland were working. This is just from Polish offices. So so this is the most important thing for me. I am working like every few months. I am changing clients. Sometimes I am changing industries. I was working in retail, in telecommunication, in banks, and that is very exciting and very like developing because I have to learn new things every few months. And then I was working in many different countries. So for example, within this like 3 years, I was working already in Britain, in Czech Republic, in Hungary, in Poland, in Thailand, and in Indonesia for on-site projects, meaning I was there on site and I was working there with clients in Indonesia, in Thailand. So that was really super exciting, and I think there are really like not a lot of companies that can provide opportunities like this. So that is like biggest value in McKinsey for me.
Thank you, Piotrek. So we don't have any more questions, so I think we can wrap up. Thank you guys for joining us today, and thank you team for sharing this with us all. And yeah, one thing more, we are me, myself, and Ola will be at 5:30 waiting for more of your questions. So please visit us on a Zoom, and we'll be able to cover detailed questions regarding recruiting or any other. You're very welcome.
Thank you guys for joining,
Okay,
and enjoy
thank
the
you.
rest of your conference.